Welcome back to the Aviator Podcast, where we discuss all things related to the world of health, wellness, and rehabilitation. Our focus is on taking our patients and clients to the next level in function and performance. I am your host, Jason Hunter, Director of Clinical Education for Aviator Healthcare Logistics. My guest today is Dusty Anderson. Dusty is the Chief Clinical Officer and one of the three owners of Aviator Healthcare Logistics. Dusty has an impressive clinical background as a physical therapist assistant and a certified strength and conditioning specialist. He has spent his career working in outpatient orthopedics, high-level sports medicine, as well as home health, eventually becoming the owner of a home health agency. Dusty has since brought a passion of his to life and created a new division of Aviator Healthcare Logistics called Aviator Sports Performance and Rehabilitation. Thank you for joining me as I explore purpose, passion, and the Aviator Way with Dusty Anderson. Okay, welcome back. I'm here with Dusty Anderson, and I am super excited to have you on the podcast. Just a little bit of history about Dusty and I. We have known each other for quite a few years and have spent some time in the clinic together. We've been blessed to be able to work with some incredible clinicians and learn from some truly talented people. What I would really like for you to do is to take some time and tell us a little bit more about you, your background, and how you came to be with Aviator.
Yeah, absolutely. So most people know part of my testimony, but my journey into physical therapy actually started at a pretty young age, around 16. I was a three-sport athlete. I was an avid baseball player, pitcher, quarterback. You name it. But really came from an era where we didn't have the resources like these kids have these days. So we just jumped from sport to sport and really didn't train our bodies and really just relied on natural athletic talent. But I come to soon find out that you can only do that for so long. And so, try to get to the next level and my body just fell apart. So, within 5 to 6 years, I spent many a days and long hours working with physical therapists, try to get me back playing. And really what I kind of find out is that, it just wasn't possible with the resources that were available. And just because of that, it kind of left me bitter for several years. And when I really thought I could have made it on the next level, and, who knows where that could have gone. But I really try to take that frustration and fuel it into my education. And I really wanted to come about it with a hybrid approach. I wanted a strength and conditioning background. I wanted some physical therapy exposure. And then just having being a, patient or client on my end, it enabled me to bring a different perspective to these athletes. So basically, I've been a physical therapist assistant for since 2007, and about that same time, I acquired my certified strength and conditioning specialist certification, and then I took it a step further and got my certification in biomechanics. Just really because, again, I wanted to have all aspects of that, so I could best help somebody that was in my position. And so I started in outpatient orthopedics. Worked there for 7 years. I was blessed to be exposed to some great clinicians. And, I learned that from you actually in my first clinical rotation, is to surround yourself with the best people. And even though I wasn't comfortable, that's what I did. And I spent about 7 years at Michael Johnson Performance Center. I saw how they started that up and how that grew. And I always noticed some gaps. There was still some breakdown between the PT side and the strength and conditioning side. And so that kind of planted a seed in me. And then my first daughter was born, and I was looking for some, extra funds to support some of that stuff. We know outpatient is not the highest paid place for, therapists. And so I started doing a little bit of home health for a few years, and I was really blown away by what the lack of skill that I saw out there. And I'm like, I can't believe this is, being done at this level. And so kind of gained the reputation, coming from the orthopedic background, doing lots of manual therapy, and my supervising PT obviously did that as well. In fact, David Cook, one of the other owners, him and I worked together quite a bit. And we're like, kicked around this idea, we should we should start our own home health. And that's why I really feel like my journey's been purpose driven. I feel like the good Lord, put that planted that seed in me about home health. And actually, David was a student at Peak Physical Therapy where I worked, so I met him there, and then he graduated and he worked with us for about a year, and then he jumped straight into home health. And so he was actually at a facility in McKinney doing some home health visits, and that's where he met Tunde. And Tunde was doing a Zumba class, and he was sitting out in the hallway doing some documentation. And so they kind of kicked off a conversation, and again, I think it was perfect timing. And then David called me, and he said, "Hey, I got a lady here interested in really trying to amp up the physical therapy side. She started a home health company, and I really felt like I was exactly where I needed to be. I mean, my goal in life was, or as far as professional wise, was to work with professional athletes, and that's what I was doing. But even though I was doing that, there was still a void, and I feel like that was a good Lord kind of telling me, He had something more for me. And so we started doing a little bit of home health. I came on board with Aviator in the early stages. Me, Tunde, and David were actually the clinicians in 2013, and they wanted to bring me on full capacity, but I had a little bit of hesitancy just because of how jaded I was from the home health industry. And it took me about 3 months. They'll tell you the story. It took about 3 months for that to happen. And one of the contingencies of that is that we'd really be focused on our people and our clients. Some of my other home health gigs that I did prior years, it exposed me to how these corporates really just focus on numbers, and they really didn't want to grow the clinicians and really treat the patients, with utmost respect. And so my contingency was coming on board with Aviator full time was that, I'd have control of building an elite physical therapy team, manually focused, and that, we would really try to grow the brand of excellence. And that's really how it started. Tunde gave me that opportunity, and I brought some top-notch manual therapists in, and it started taking off, and we made a huge impact in the ortho world. And that's brings us to 2014, 2015, and I brought some key critical leaders on the physical therapy side that really helped me build the vision and the culture of excellence. And so I feel like, that long story I just told you, I mean, that testimony of how I got to this point, I really feel like it was purpose driven. It came through tragedy in my life, tribulation. I was lost for a certain amount of time after my athletic career ended, really didn't know what I wanted to do. And little did I know, good Lord had kept putting me through those injuries because I was too hard headed to wake up and realize this is where He wanted. And so it enabled me to connect with these patients. And, you of all people, what we teach during orientation is their ability to connect with patients, and the clinical soft skills. I used to use the analogy when I did these orientations about, I worked with some very heavy credential PTs and PTAs in my early years, but some of those guys had no personality. They couldn't even connect with the wall. And so
Right.
it really didn't matter, how credentialed they were if they didn't have that ability to understand and listen to a patient. And I think that was prevalent in the home health world as well. Everybody just focusing on numbers. And while I understand we have to do that in some sense, we've made a lot of decisions that were best for our people and our clients. And that's really how the Aviator story started. And I've been very blessed to have amazing leaders, and been able to kind of step back and work on some new projects. And so exciting times. We've definitely had our struggles, and as everybody is aware, but I feel like we're in a position. We've been given a lot of opportunity, and we can't sit idle with that. We keep moving forward with the ultimate goal of, just making a positive impact. I'm sure y'all heard me say that 1,000 times, and positive impacts to me, it doesn't mean just what I'm doing as a clinician. Just be a good person, taking out the trash, listening to,
Right.
taking the time, And I feel like that's what enables us to make those great impacts, is the ability just to be a normal person.
Right.
And so that's somewhat my history in a nutshell. Sorry for taking so long, but
No, it's good. I think, that what that kind of helps us lead into is what would you say is the purpose and the passion that the aviator way, it's very distinct. How would you describe that?
yeah. So in the most simple concepts, the aviator way is a sense of meaning and connection,
Hmm.
and a brand of excellence. And I like to define it with a quote, and you'll even see it in our clinic, by Aristotle: "Destiny is not a matter of chance, but of choice, not something to wish for, but to attain. Therefore, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is a habit of choice, not an act." And so that
It's awesome.
is the aviator way. We choose to go above and beyond, commitment to excellence and a team approach, and enabling our clinicians to be leaders in our company. And so that's really what the aviator way means. It's kind of broad, but if we want to break it down even further, it's really three components to the aviator way. And we talk about this in orientation. The vision, and that's what we want to be, our mission, and that's what we need to do to create the future. And then the principles are what we choose to believe in as we work towards our vision. And so,
Absolutely.
those components and some of those quotes, I mean, that's the aviator way.
Most definitely. Most definitely. You kind of alluded to some new projects and maybe some new directions for aviator. What you want to expand on that a little bit?
Sure. So, I know we've gone through some tough times here lately, with things that have been out of our control. We've weathered a lot of ups and downs in the industry, but our focus has always been on our employees and our clients, and our patients. Most of you know that we started Aviator Sports Performance and Rehab, that division, in September of last year, and really focusing more on the sports performance side, not necessarily the outpatient PT. And we've had some ups and downs and some challenges, and we were ramping up. And we were doing pretty well until this all hit, and it's kind of put some things on hold. But we're slowly starting to incorporate that. But we do have some exciting things in the works. We are looking at some point to open some outpatient clinics. And let me kind of take a step back, because really my vision for the company as far as clinical goes was really to have a one-stop shop, for clinicians to work, in an outpatient facility, or outpatient clinic, flex over to home health. Because I think what kept me sharp, even though I was in home health for several years, is that I was still tied into some outpatient, as well. And so my vision was initially was to create a one-stop shop where clinicians would really never get burnt out, and they would be able to kind of work in the outpatient sector, then move over to the home health sector. And so we are working on that. Dustin Corbett's done an exceptional job, in his new role, the director of sports performance. Very smart guy. And so we're in the final stages of building out that business model. And hopefully in the next 6 months to a year, we'll have some type of centrally located outpatient clinic that we will drive the outpatient PT side a little bit more, and add that complementary sports performance. And really, again, with
That's
the
awesome.
the goal with that outpatient is not just to be your standard outpatient. And taking my experience from the MJP days, working in that clinic and Peak, and I want to create a platform where we can service the patient through the full continuum, whether that's in sports or weekend warriors. We want to have a solution for everybody. And so that's what we want to do, and be proactive and preventative. For example, had I been had something like that early in my life, I think I would have been able to prevent a lot of injuries. But PT outpatient is really after the fact, right? After something has already happened.
Right. Right.
And working with so many youth, over the years, even before I started home health, man, I always say, man, if I could just get to these guys, if I'd have got to you 6 months ago, we would have never been in this
Right.
position, So that's really the mission with this outpatient, and it is constantly evolving. Is to be a one-stop shop, be preventative, be proactive in a sense, and really try to bring the best out of these kids so they can go on to the next level and be successful. And so that to me is what's right in the middle of my perspective as far as new things in the company. The home health side, we always put a lot of energy. Most, I would say, greater than 90% of our energy is on the home health side. And, again, we've kind of had a few setbacks that were out of our control, but we're still here. And our commitment to
Absolutely.
our clinicians, to me and to the ownership has always been our number one priority. And sometimes I understand, I've been on the other side. I've seen corporates come in and buy out small home health companies and really change the culture. And, that's not something that we are interested in. We've never been in it for the money. It's always been about our people. So, I feel like we have such amazing leaders in our company that literally, could do really any job. And that's why you see some of the owners kind of stepping back and kind of behind the scenes more and letting you guys kind of focus in and drive, those key measures, is because we trust y'all and enable that as leaders. And you don't necessarily get that in corporates.
True.
And so
It's
we,
very
we
true.
try to we try to do something a little bit different, but there are exciting times. I encourage everybody to stay positive and push themselves. Status quo. Jason has never been in my wheelhouse. I don't like I don't like
Most
the
definitely.
status quo. And it might seem like that to some people that are not as connected on the day to day with us. But I can assure you, number one, it starts with the CEO, Tunde, the most selfless person I have ever met. And then having great leaders like David and Brian and Josh and really everybody, and Jacqueline and Cassie and you and Dustin and Dan and Lindsay. And I mean, the list goes on and on and on, right? But really, again, the
Right.
last few months, we've had to kind of weather some craziness. But I can assure everybody that at the end of the day, we care most about you as a clinician, as an employee, as our family, because inevitably we take care of them, they take care of our clients. So that's where we're at these days, and things are moving forward. So stay encouraged.
One of the things that I talk about a lot in orientation, and I will talk a lot with clinicians about, is, Aviator, we are a family. This is a family atmosphere, and we take pride in that. Some other things we talk about in orientation are the creativity. I've said in orientation that, everybody kind of goes this way, and then Aviator we take a turn and go over here. We're gonna carve our own path. We're gonna do our own thing. We want to be able to take what is normally done in this industry and raise the standards and do something different. And so I think it's one of the greatest things about Aviator is we are doing things differently. We're taking a different path and setting a standard. And that has definitely started with you guys, with you and Tunda and David, setting that tone. And then especially with you, when you've done interviews and you did orientations and you've raised the bar, you set those expectations. And so we try to continue that because we want everyone that comes into the family to be able to be held to those standards. And we want them to feel like they're in a great place. We want them to feel like they're in a great place for growth and to be a part of something great. And so,
Yeah,
um,
you hit that right on the head. I mean, I think that's the greatest, you know, my greatest focus is if I bring somebody on, I want them to have the ability to grow, and I think we've done that. I mean, you can see how many leaders are in the company. They didn't start there, right? And so that giving that platform to people, again, when I was in corporate, I mean, I could sit there and say 1,000 things, but at the end of the day, the suits made the decisions. and they weren't even clinical in nature. So, what that's part of our culture here is giving y'all the ability to grow and do new things. And, how do we learn? By making mistakes. I'm not saying we're perfect, but our intent, our heart has always been in the right place. And so we're blessed to be able to do that.
Absolutely. What would be some thoughts or some pieces of wisdom that you would like to kind of wrap up the discussion with? Something that's impactful and that you really want people to walk away with. It could be something that really resonates with you, that it's something you picked up along the way that you kind of carry with you, and that kind of helps keep you focused and
Yeah,
on and on the right thought process.
yeah, for time's sake, I'll try to keep it try to keep it brief. I
We got
mean,
plenty of time.
yeah, I mean, really, I have a ton of quotes I kind of live by. One of them: "Only a life lived in service to others is worth living."
Mhm.
I grew up in a culture in a small town in West Texas where we treated everybody like family. Good or bad, we were always there to help. And so I would encourage people, even though, sometimes it gets kind of boring out there in home health and you're like, oh man, I'm kind of disconnected. That's really exactly what we're trying not to happen, right? We're trying to put things in place and ask for communication and put leaders out there to make sure everybody's voice is heard and they feel important. So, you know, make sure you connect with the team. There's another quote I like is none of us is as smart as all of us. You
Yeah,
know, ponder
that's
that for a
good.
minute.
Yeah,
And so I think again, one of the important things that I realized, and Tunda actually taught me this, is in 2014, I had a hard time coming out of the field. I'm like, man, these patients are really relying on me, and that's a sense of pride, right? I always went above and beyond of what was asked out of me. But she taught me that I can actually make a bigger impact by helping others and teaching others. And so, that's another piece of wisdom to take out of that. If you feel like you're getting stagnant, or there's a little bit disconnect, see who you can help, mentor people. Um,
absolutely.
and as a clinical instructor, I mean, the impact you had on me, you set the bar for me. You really opened my eyes to what could be possible if I don't travel the path of least resistance. And I
Yeah,
think this company gives everybody that opportunity. Now, timing might be something that we always have to deal with, right? The ups and downs and ebbs and flows of the business. But help other people. At the end of the day, I think that's what it's all about, right? And then
absolutely.
there's one more quote. Coming together is a beginning, staying together is progress, and working together is success. So I've realized that it's impossible for one person to take on this mission or this vision or paint this vision out. So it takes all of us, and every one of you that are listening to this or on in the Aviator family, you have been brought on for a strategic reason, and those things are not taken lightly. And I encourage. I mean, I don't know if there's anybody that I know of that's been hired without an interview here. And it's
Absolutely.
not
Yeah,
necessarily that we want to grill you. We want to make sure that you follow along those lines of what we're trying to deliver, the Aviator way. And so, again, I think what can we take away? Some words of encouragement. Again, is how can you make an impact, positive impact, and that doesn't mean it has to be skill driven. Being a good person, going outside of your way, and that's why that recognition program is so important. And I read every one of those guys, and it gives me chill bumps when I see those things because I know even sometimes you have to get out of your own way to see things like that happen. Um,
right.
and I see them every day. So that I can tell you, from Tunda's standpoint, my standpoint, and David's standpoint, we appreciate that sincerely. And I always encourage, to if we're having some issues or problems, and that doesn't mean it's just necessarily work related, right? There's a lot of personal things come up, and that can skew our ability to deliver on the day to day. reach out to us. We've been known to go see people on Christmas, Christmas night, clients on Christmas night or patients on Christmas night just because they needed somebody to talk to. And so don't be afraid of that, and stay encouraged. I feel like, the therapy side of Aviator, we really made a big splash just because of what we put together, that no other company can claim or will ever claim. And our nursing team is now doing an amazing job and having great leaders as well. So we just got to stay the course, get through some of the tough times, and remember why we all got into this. And we're a team, rely on each other, believe in each other, and try to help each other be better.
Awesome. Love it. Great thoughts, man. Great thoughts. I'll tell you that if you ever want to know what's going on in the Aviator family and how wonderful our team is, dive into that Aviator chat. You see a lot of beautiful things occurring in that. People loving on each other and taking care of the community. Yeah.
Yeah,
awesome
that is my morning coffee, to be honest.
Yeah, most definitely.
I love looking at that, and I think you get to a stage in your career where the best, satisfaction that I get is seeing others being successful. And so that's where I'm at, and that comes from enabling leaders and not holding them back. And Tunde used to say, if we're the smartest one in the room, then we need to find a different room.
Yep.
And so while we have many constructive discussions on the back end, just trust that, none of that stuff is taken lightly. We're not perfect. We've made some mistakes along the way, but our heart and we're there for the right reasons. It's sincere, and we want everybody to feel accomplished and make an impact, and inevitably, treat everybody. I've said it 100 times. You've heard me say it. Treat everybody like they're your mother or father.
Absolutely.
And you can't go wrong.
Absolutely. Well, man, great conversation. This has been fantastic. I know that what you guys have started, what you, Tunde and David have started, is just it's fantastic, and we're in a great place. We have a great family, and so I know that I'm very grateful for what I get to contribute and be a part of this. So thank you for what you guys have done. Absolutely.
Y'all are all very welcome, and again, we're all a team, and we couldn't be what we are without each and every one of y'all. So just know the future is looking bright. We have expansion plans for both the home health side, and we just have to make more strategic decisions and timing, and but we're not going anywhere. Just rest assured in that. And we do have an open door policy. If something's not right, make sure you follow up with your supervisors, and we want to try to remedy all that stuff ahead of time so that everybody can enjoy their families and feel like they're being respected and heard in this company, the Aviator way.
Awesome. Well, Dusty, thank you very much. We appreciate your time.
It's been a pleasure. I love all you guys.
I wanted to take a few moments and review some of the ideas that Dusty spoke on. I felt it was very important that we truly take these words in and consider their meaning. Purpose, passion, and the Aviator way. This is what binds us as a family and helps to define us. There is purpose here. There is a feeling that this is meant to be. Aviator is special, and we are here for a reason. Dusty spoke on several key elements to who we are as an Aviator family. First and foremost, we are focused on people. We are all just human, with families and life challenges like anyone else. We are all doing the best we can. We are not perfect. As a family, we take care of one another. We lift each other up and remember the calling that we are all answering. When we focus on people that are in our family, those that we serve, we will be successful. That is the rock, the foundation of our company. When we focus on others, we will all succeed. Another key element is connection. Connection with each other, connection with our clients and our patients, connection with the community, connection with our purpose. We also have a vision of where we want to be, a mission that describes how we will get there. These are supported by a bedrock of sound principles and values that define our character as a company. We spoke of the Aviator Way. This is a sense of meaning, a commitment to excellence, the team approach. It is empowering. Dusty shared a quote by Aristotle with us, and I wanted to highlight it again here. Destiny is not a matter of chance, but of choice. Not something to wish for, but to attain. Therefore, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is a habit of choice, not an act. In addition to our unique approach to home health care, we have a vision for the future to provide opportunities for our clinicians to be able to move between settings in order to provide variety, professional development, and avoid burnout. It takes a team to realize this vision. How can you make an impact? Stay focused. Don't let the chaos distract you. We are here to stay. We have a vision we will all continue toward. As Dusty has said, every one of our Aviator family members is important, necessary, and vital. When we have lost a family member, it is painful and has not been taken lightly. You are all here for a reason. For some final thoughts, I wanted to share this with you. Stay the course. When thwarted, try again, harder, smarter. Persevere relentlessly. Perseverance is stubbornness with a purpose.